Good morning, Woodland 5th grade. We are back. This is week number 2, day number 6 of our flexible instruction days. It's pajama day. This is probably about as good as you're going to see me in pajamas. I mean, this is, the hair is growing. I feel like I'm growing chia pet here. But it is March 23rd, and it is day 1 of our 6-day cycle. What a weekend it was. Beautiful weather. Hope you got out. Hope you enjoyed it. It certainly was thrilling for me to spend a lot of time with my family. We've been out running around. We've done 2-mile runs, walks, jogs. It's just really, really been great. So March 23rd, famous day in history. Let's see what was out there on March 23rd. So far, on March 23rd in 1839, the word okay was first published in the Boston Morning Post. Did you know that? It was actually an abbreviation for all correct. That's OLLKORRECT. That was the popular slang spelling of all correct as we know it at the time. In 1775, Patrick Henry, he responded to British opposition on this date with his very famous speech, "I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." So pretty cool little factoids out there for this day. Just a quick little note. I want you all to make sure you check your email. I spent three and a half hours yesterday looking through a lot of the various things that you've been doing. Just made some notes on there for you. Some of you definitely need to get a little bit more caught up. This is all new for all of us. Please message me if there's something going on that you need catching up on. Or if you just need a little bit more time, you might have to spend a little bit more time on that during your day. And today we have iReady reading. Yes, I did post our first iReady reading assignment. So I'd like to know your feedback on that. It is a 2-dayer. Don't try and finish it all in one day. The recommended time is 45 minutes for today's lesson. So I did push that out to you. And the biography, if you are finishing your actual book, please make sure that you go online, search YouTube, take a peek, see what else is out there on your person. I won't push the Google Slides presentation criteria out until Thursday. So you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to either A, finish reading your book, or B, do a little bit more research. If you don't finish your book by Thursday, that's totally fine. You're going to have all next week to put your Google Slides presentation together. All right. Well, in studio, I do have in the classroom, I typically have my team that keeps us all together here. Unfortunately, the social distancing does not allow it in the studio here, but I do have a special guest virtually, and let's see if we can actually pull this off. All right. Look who we have here. What do you have to say, Mrs. Carli, live in the studio?
Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing? I'm so excited I get to be here today with Mr. Yenish through FaceTime with my coffee. I watch Mr. Yenish on YouTube every morning, read his book, and I hope you all are doing the same. I think about everybody every day, and I miss everyone so much. I can't wait till we're all back together. I love getting all your emails and keep in touch on Edmodo. Please keep in touch with me. Keep in touch with us. It makes my day so much better. I'm so excited to be here with Mr. Yenish and listen to the book today.
All right. Mr. Carli, always a smile on our faces each and every day in the classroom. She's been keeping me in line, right, Mrs. DeCarli?
A
few times a day. She does have to keep me in line, but it's been a great partnership. Miss Barber, Mrs. Seraphin, Mrs. Panos, we've all been in touch. So happy Monday to you, Mrs. DeCarli, and I'm going to start my reading, so I got to go. See you in a few. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. All right, so that was a little treat in the studio this morning. Hope you enjoyed that. And let's go. We are now ready to kick in on chapters 14 through 16. So let's do it. Let's go. Chapter 14. I see a lot of you logged in on Padlet already. Thank you. Thank you. Great to see. So let's continue. Of course, we left off, you'll remember, it says, and for the first time in his life, Kyle Keeley wanted to check out a library book more than anything in the world. "How about we work together?" said Akimi when she sat down at Kyle's table. Kyle couldn't take his eyes off Sierra Russell. She had drifted up about 25 feet and was leaning against the railings of her floating platform, completely lost in a new book. "Hello, Earth to Kyle. Do you want somebody else to get first dibs on the Electronic Learning Center?" "No." "Then focus." "Okay, so how do we use our wits and the library to find dessert?" Akimi nodded toward Miguel, whose fingers were dancing across the screen of his desktop's tablet computer. "I think he's doing a search in the card catalog," whispered Akimi. "Why?" "It's how you find stuff in a library, Kyle. I know that, but we're not looking for books about dessert. We need to find actual food." Andrew Peckelman stood up from his desk and sprinted up a wrought iron spiral staircase leading to the second floor. 2 seconds later, Charles Chiltington was sprinting up the staircase behind him. All the other players soon followed. Everybody was headed to the second floor and the Dewey Decimal Rooms. Miguel finally popped up from his desk and made a mad dash for the nearest staircase. "It's got to be up in the 600s, you guys," he called out to Kyle and Akimi. "Thanks," said Kyle. But he still didn't budge from his seat. "I guess from the 600s in the Dewey Decimal category where you find books about desserts," said Akimi. "Maybe we should—" "Wait a second," said Kyle. Kyle, in case you haven't noticed, you, me, and glider girl Sierra are the only ones still on this floor. And Sierra isn't really on the floor because she's floating." "Hang on, Akimi. I have an idea." Kyle pulled out his floor plan. "Dessert is probably hiding in plain sight, just like the bonus codes in Squirrel Squad. Follow me." "Where to?" "The Book Nook Cafe, the one room in the library where, according to what Dr. Zinchenko told us back at the hotel, food and drinks are actually allowed." They strolled into the cozy cafe. "Woohoo!" shouted Akimi. The walls were decorated with shelves of cookbooks, but several tables were loaded down with trays of cookies, cakes, ice cream, and fruit. "That's why the curtains were closed behind the windows into the rotunda," said Akimi, "so we couldn't see all this food. Way to go, Kyle." Kyle did his best imitation of Charles Chiltington. "I'm Akimi. We never lose. Except, of course, when we don't win." All right, so Kyle, looks like in the Keem, are going to win their first challenge there. I'll give you a minute or so to kind of update and get on in here and Padlet, see the comments coming in. After everyone had dessert, Kyle and Akimi were the first ones allowed to enter the Electronic Learning Center. This is still chapter 14, by the way. Kyle flew the space shuttle, making an excellent landing on Mars before crashing into one of Saturn's moons. Akimi rode a horse with Paul Revere. Then, Kyle learned how to drive a stick-shift stock car on the Talladega racetrack, while Akimi climbed into a tiny submarine to swim with sharks, dolphins, and sea turtles, all of which were projected on the glass walls of her undersea simulator. All the educational video games had 3D visuals, digital surround sound, and something new that Mr. Lemoncello was developing for his video games: smell-o-vision. When you sacked Rome, you could actually smell the smoky scent of the burning city, as well as the barbarians' BO, meaning body odor. After an hour, Dr. Zinchenko ushered everybody else into the Electronic Learning Center. They'd been watching George Washington debate George W. Bush. Both were audio animatronic dummies in the town square at the center of the 900s room. At 10 p.m., they all tromped into the IMAX theater, also on the third floor, to see a jukebox concert. 3D images of the world's best musicians, living and dead, perform their hits live. The best part was Mozart jamming with Metallica. That actually would be an interesting concert. Finally, around 3 a.m, Clarence and his twin brother Clement came to escort the kids to their sleeping quarters. The boys would roll out their sleeping bags in the children's room. Just off the rotunda, The girls would be upstairs on the third floor in the boardroom. Charles Chiltington would be luxuriating all alone in Mr. Lemoncello's private suite. Exhausted from the excitement of the day and crashing after eating way too much sugar, Kyle slept like a baby. He only woke up because he heard music. Loud, blaring music. The theme song was from that boxing movie, Rocky, his brother Mike's favorite. Was he mumbled, crawling out of the sleeping bag. Kyle glanced at his watch. It was 11 a.m. He figured the library lock-in was officially over, and this was the group's wake-up call. The music kept blaring. This is how they wake up astronauts, groaned Miguel. Turn it off, moaned Andrew Peckelman. Kyle slipped on his jeans and sneakers and staggered out into the giant reading room. Dr. Zinchenko? His voice echoed off the dome. No answer. Clarence? Clement? Nothing. The Rocky music got louder. Akimi leaned in from the third floor balcony. What's going on down there? I think they're trying to wake us up. I think they're trying to wake up astronauts, said Kyle, on the moon. He made his way to the front door and reached for the handle. It wouldn't budge. He jiggled it. Nothing. He jiggled harder. Still nothing. Kyle realized that the library lock-in might not be over, but they were still. Sorry, I'll read that line again. Kyle realized that the library lock-in might be over, but they were still locked in the library. That's the end of chapter 14. I'll give you a second while I sip on my morning coffee. Me too. I also have it in hand, Mrs. DeCarli. All right, chapter 15. What do you guys think? Locked in? I mean, it does say escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library, so obviously this is going to be the lock-in, right? Let's see what Dr. Zinchenko has to say. Everybody please take your seats, Dr. Zinchenko said to the parents gathered in a conference room at the Parker House Hotel. When do our kids come home? Asked one of the mothers. Rose has soccer at 2, said another. The librarian nodded. Mr. Lemoncello will. Just then, an accordion panel door at the far end of the room flew open, revealing the eccentric billionaire dressed up in bright purple tracksuit and a plumed pirate hat. He was eating a slice of a 7-layer birthday cake. Good morning, or as they say in Reykjavik, gott shidoki, which means good afternoon. Sorry if I butchered that, Icelanders. Because there is a 4-hour time difference between Ohio and Iceland, a fact that I first learned spinning a globe on my local library. Mr. Lemoncello, his banana shoes burp squeaking, stepped out of the room filled with dozens of black and white television monitors, the kind security guards watch at their workstations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this grand and auspicious day. Today I am pleased to announce the most marvelous, stupendous game ever created, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. The entire library will be the game board. Your children will be the game pieces. The winner will become famous all over the world. How? Asked one of the fathers. By starring in all of my commercials this holiday season. TV, radio, print, billboards, cardboard cutouts in toy stores. His or her face will be everywhere. Mrs. Daly raised her hand. Will they get paid? Oh, yes. In fact, you'll probably want to call me the giver. And what exactly does Haley have to do to win? Escape from the library. I thought the game's title more or less gave that away. Mr. Lemoncello tapped a button in his pirate hat, and an animated version of the library's floor plan was instantly displayed on the conference room's plasma screen TVs. Whoever is the first out of what they find in the library to find their way out of the library will be crowned the winner. Now then, the children cannot use the front door or the fire exits or set off any alarms. They cannot go out of the way. They cannot go out the way they went in. They can only use their wits, cunning, and intelligence to decipher clues and solve riddles that will eventually lead them to the location of the library's super secret alternate exit. And ladies and gentlemen, I assure you, such an alternate exit does indeed exist. The parents around the table started buzzing with excitement. Participation, of course, would be purely optional and voluntary, said Mr. Lemoncello, clasping his hands behind his back and stalking around the room. Several parents pulled out cell phones. And please do not attempt to phone, email, text, fax, or send smoke signals to your children, encouraging them to enter the competition. We have blocked all communication into and out of the library. Only those who truly wish to stay and play shall stay and play. Anyone who chooses to leave the library will go home with lovely parting gifts and a souvenir pirate hat very similar to mine. They'll also be invited to my birthday party tomorrow afternoon. He held up his crumb-filled plate. I've been sampling potential cake candidates for breakfast. Mrs. Keegan crossed her arms over her chest. Will this game be dangerous? No, said Mr. Lemoncello. Your children will be under constant video surveillance by security personnel in the library's control center. Dr. Zinchenko and I will also be monitoring their progress here in my private video viewing suite. Should anything go wrong, we have paramedics, firefighters, and a team of former Navy SEALs, each with the heart of a samurai, standing by to swoop in and rescue your children. It'll be like the Hunger Games, but with lots of food and no bows and arrows. Why not just give the kids play? Why not just have the kids play one of those other games? A parent suggested. Why all this fuss? Because, my dear friends, these 12 children have lived their entire lives without a public library. As a result, they have no idea how extraordinarily useful, helpful, and funful, a word I recently invented, a library can be. This is their chance to discover that a library is more than a collection of dusty old books. It's a place to learn, explore, and grow. Mr. Lemoncello, I think what you're doing is fantastic, said one of the mothers. Thank you, said Mr. Lemoncello, bowing and clicking his heels, which made them bark like a chicken. If any of you would like to check up on your children, announced Dr. Zinchenko, please join us in the adjoining room. Oh, they're a lot of fun to watch, said Mr. Lemoncello. However, Mr. and Mrs. Keeley, I'm afraid your son Kyle does not enjoy the theme song from Rocky quite as much as I do. That's the end of chapter 15. One more chapter to go for today. I'll give you a moment to catch up on that. Couple notes you guys can jot down there in the interim. Good work so far. Wow. Okay, now we're moving along here. All right, let's finish it up for today, chapter 16. Rocky had done its job. Kyle and everyone else locked inside the library was definitely awake. Even Charles Chiltington had come down to the rotunda reading room from Mr. Lemoncello's private suite. The only essay writer not with the group was Sierra Russell, who Kyle figured was off looking for another book to read. We're still locked in? Squealed Haley Daly. This is so lame, added Sean Keegan. It's like 11:30. I've got things to do, places to be. Look, you guys, said Kyle. He'll probably open the front door right after we eat or something. Well, where's that ridiculous librarian? Said Charles Chiltington, who was never very nice when there weren't any adults in the room. Yeah, said Rose. I can't stay in here all day. I have a soccer game at 2. And dude, said Sean Keegan, I have a life. Do you children require assistance? Said a soft, motherly voice. It was the semi-transparent holographic image of Mrs. Tobin, the librarian from the 1960s. She was hovering a few inches off the ground in front of the center desk. Yes, said Kayla Corson. How do we get out of here? The librarian blinked. The way a secondhand calculator, the one your oldest brother dropped on the floor 1 billion times, does when it's figuring out a square root. I'm sorry, said the robotic librarian. I have not been provided with the answer to that question. Will we be doing brunch here this morning? Chiltington asked politely. I'm not hungry, but some of my chums sure are. After all, it's 11:30. The kitchen staff recently placed fresh food in the Book Nook Cafe. Thank you, Mrs. Tobin, said Chiltington. Would you like anything? A bowl of oatmeal, perhaps? No, thank you, Charles. I am a hologram. I do not eat food. I guess that's how you say so super skinny. I mean, this kid, right? I mean, brown noser. Kyle shook his head. The smarmy guy was oilier than a soggy sack of fries. He was even sucking up to a hologram. Chiltington and the others traipsed off to have breakfast, but Kyle and Akimi stayed with the holographic librarian. I have a question, said Kyle. I'm listening. Is the library lock-in over, or are we supposed to go home now? Mr. Lemoncello will be addressing that issue shortly. Okay, thanks, Mrs. Tobin. You are welcome, Kyle. After the librarian faded to a flicker, Akimi said, By the way, Kyle, before we leave, you need to check out that room I slept in last night. The boardroom? Yeah, they call it that because guess what? It's filled with board games. All Lemoncellos. Nuh-uh. Stuff from other companies. Some of it goes back to the 1890s. I think it's Mr. Lemoncello's personal collection. It's like a museum up there. Kyle's eyes went wide. You hungry? He asked. Not really. We ate so much last night. You think we have time to check out this game museum? Follow me. The two friends bounded up a spiral staircase to the second floor, where they found out another set of steps to take them up to the third. When he entered the boardroom, Kyle was blown away. Wow. The walls were lined with bookcases filled with antique games, tin toys, and card games. This is incredible. I guess, said Akimi. If, you like games. Kyle smiled, which, I do. They spent several quiet minutes wandering around the room, taking in all the wacky games that people used to play. There was one display case featuring 8 games with amazingly illustrated box tops. A tiny spotlight illuminated each one. Wonder what's so special about these games, said Kyle. Maybe those were Mr. Lemoncello's favorites when he was a kid. Maybe, but the slogan etched into the glass case confused Kyle. Luigi Lemoncello, the first and last word in games. But these aren't Lemoncello games, he mumbled. The first spotlighted game in the case was Howdy Doody's TV game. After that came Husker Du. You don't say. Like Mines, Fun City, Big Six sports games, Get the Message, and Rough and Ready. It's a puzzle, said Kyle with a grin. I thought these were games. They are, but if you string together the first or last word of each game title, he tapped the glass in front of the first box on the shelf, you get the message. Really? Said Akimi, sounding extremely skeptical. You're sure it's not just a bunch of junk somebody picked up for like 50 cents at a yard sale? Positive. Kyle pointed to each box top as he cracked the code. Howdy, do you like fun games? Get ready. Miguel Fernandez barged into the boardroom. Here you are. We need you guys in the Electronic Learning Center. Now. Why? Charles Chiltington wolfed down his breakfast, then raced up here to finish the game he started last night so he can enter his name as the first high scorer. So, the game he's playing is all about medieval castles and dungeons. This time Akimi said it. So, he's escaping through the sewers. The game has smell-o-vision. You ever smell a medieval sewer? Trust me, it's foul and disgusting. A little bit of time passes. The three of them dashed up the hall and entered the stinky room where Charles was sitting in a vibrating pedestal chair, thumbing at his controller. As his avatar sloshed through the sewer pipe, the subwoofers built into his seat made every squish and splat rumble across the floor. Whoa, said Kyle. Knock it off, Charles. You're pumping out total tear gas. Because I'm in the sewers underneath the horse stables. It's the secret way out of the castle. I'm going to win another game. That's 2 for me, Keely. How many for you? Yo, said Miguel. This room is 2 stories above the cafe. The ductwork is connected. What's your point? You're making everybody's food downstairs smell like horse manure. Who cares? I'm winning. Charles, all he cares about is winning. I wonder if through the book, I wonder if he's going to learn a valuable lesson. You know, sometimes how, like Chris Grabenstein talked about how he kind of takes characters through this evolution in a story. Do you think Charles is going to stay Charles? He'll stay a flat character, or will he be dynamic? Will he maybe alter himself as the book goes along? We'll have to keep an eye on that. Charles's chair went flump again, but this time Kyle smelled pine trees, like one of those evergreen air fresheners people hang inside their cars. Oh, this stupid thing is broken. Charles jumped out of the chair and reared back to kick at it. I wouldn't do that if I were you, said Kyle. Why not? Because there's a security camera over there and it's aimed right at you. What? Where? See the blinking red light? Suddenly, an image of Kyle pointing at the camera lens appeared on every video screen in the Electronic Learning Center until he was replaced by Mr. Lemoncello. And we'll stop there. Okay, guys, I know it's a 9:35, and just stay on top of the work. Keep me involved via email. I will be up throughout the day. Just hunkered down here in the basement. The sponsor wall, I have to say, over the weekend to just see so many sponsors delivered to my mailbox. I mean, it's just filling in here, as you can see. It's spectacular. I don't know who to thank first or who to thank last. It's really out of control. I know you kids like that. So with that being said, stay on top of the work. Try to get your books done for the biography. The goal is to get done by Friday. If you're done before, great. I'll push out that Google Slides presentation for you so that you can start working on that. All of that will be due not this Friday, next Friday, the Friday before our spring break. So this way, you don't have to worry about any projects, anything laying over the break. So make the most of today. I know it's kind of a different weather day out there than what we've had. Try to exercise, maybe do some sit-ups, push-ups. Look at Mr. T's site. Today is your gym day. Don't forget, look at Senora's site as well for any work. And I think that's all that I have for you today, guys. Just remember, okay, established for the first time in 1839. Patrick Henry. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Iconic phrase uttered in 1775 by Patrick Henry. All right, everyone. We'll catch you soon. Shine on, stargazers. We got this. Keep on doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Chat soon.